Welcome back to Retro Racer. I noticed something on the previous video and now I'm not so sure if I really did win that race. Challenger uses a infrared tower here. The top button tells the car to learn the track and it sets off on 2 slow laps, and the next 2 buttons down from memory are a 25 or a 50 lap race, or it could be speed, I can't remember. And there's also a speed button or a handling button on the bottom of the car. I have it set to sport track, and I'll go into that on another video because I'm not too sure exactly about between the difference on the sport and classic switch. But anyway, there's a magnet basically under the center of the Challenger car under the track. It's a sensor magnet, and the car needs that to know where the start finish line is. So you would have noticed in the previous video that's where the car started and that's where the car stopped by itself at the end of the race. But unfortunately at the moment I have, at the end of the straight, I have the Smart Race sensor camera, just an old Android phone, Samsung, and the start finish line there with the sensors 1 and 2 for the 2 center lanes on and after the start finish line. Now unfortunately the Challenger system doesn't like having a corner immediately after it starts, because it has 2 sensors built in. It has one for a guide angle sensor, so it learns the corners and refreshes where it is, but it also has an encoder on the front axle that counts where it is based on rotations. Has to be on the front axle, can't be on the rear, because if you get wheel spin, the car will lose where it is. So I'll go into that. What I'll put up next in the video is some screenshots I took of the video of the last lap. I think you'll find it interesting. Here you'll see that I won the race driving the Dick Johnson Falcon, and that I beat the Challenger across the line. But if you look down at the total time in the red section there for the Challenger system, that's 0.3 of a second slower or longer than what the Dick Johnson Falcon took. This is a screenshot I took from the video of the cars crossing the Smart Race finish line, and that's definitely not 0.3 of a second between the Falcon and the Mercedes. That would be less than 0.01. And here's a shot of the cars crossing the Challenger start finish line just prior to me winning the race, where the Challenger car is clearly in front. So the Challenger car has already started its cool down lap, and that's part of the reason I think why, apart from my deep braking, that I managed to beat it over the line, and also as to why Smart Race seems to think that I won by 0.3 of a second. So here's the beginning of the last lap. I'll step you through it. I managed to grab a couple of screenshots. They're not the best, but they'll serve the purpose. Going onto the bridge for the final lap, I was sideways most of the way around, and so I was wheel spinning instead of accelerating. So whilst I was carrying a bit of momentum, you're going to see in the next shot that the Mercedes even is slightly sideways too. So it's doing really well, optimum setting, but it's going to start pulling away from me going over the bridge. Here the Dick Johnson Falcon is just starting to straighten out and it's about to start accelerating, whereas the Mercedes is already accelerating. Mercedes is continuing to accelerate better than the Falcon across the bridge, and I'm basically going to start falling behind here unless I do something drastic. So even going into the braking area, the Mercedes has improved its position and has gained about another guard length against me there, has moved away forward from me. So being the last of the late breakers, I just had to have a go and see if I could make up some time going down off the bridge, down into the hairpin, and try and bridge that gap. Looks like my move is starting to pay dividends. Looks like I've made up almost a half a car length here, and we'll see what happens on the run down the hill, down into the last hairpin. Unfortunately, I've either gone in too deep in that downhill off camber turn off the bridge, or possibly I've got on the power too early, or a combination of both. I've probably just gone too deep and the back started to step out already. So instead of accelerating down the hill cleanly, I'm still sliding sideways, and the Mercedes has pulled away a little on me again, down towards the hairpin. So I'm still sideways here, carrying too much momentum, and probably never got the car straight again down the short run towards the hairpin here. So the Mercedes is holding that 1 car length gap. Looks like I've got the mid corner about right. The car is almost straight, which is pretty much where I'd like it to be in non-magnet, at the apex of the corner. But I do have to exit the corner straight, because if I knock the Mercedes off exiting onto the corner onto the straight, it's not a nice way to finish the race. In my desperate attempt to try and get this win, you can see that I'm starting to get sideways, luckily just behind the back of the Mercedes, so I didn't knock it off. So it's not looking good at this stage. Fortunately, I seem to straighten the car up and start accelerating, and we're heading towards the Challenger start-finish line immediately in front of the cars there. So from the Challenger perspective, it's well on its way to a win. Its starts-finish line is only like 2 car lengths ahead, and I think I'd have to concede defeat just here as the Mercedes crosses the line in front of me and proceeds to slow down on its cool-down lap. Whereas I keep accelerating in the Dick Johnson Falcon and outbrake it at the end of the straight, because the Mercedes is already slowing down on its cool-down lap. And I get over the Smart Race start-finish line in front. Here's some slow motion footage of the last lap. So I'll leave it up to you to decide, did I win or not? I think according to Smart Race I won, but I think if we look at it fairly, according to the Challenger system, I think the Challenger car won. Thanks for watching.